Uh, I do. Yeah, Katatis actually is on the review team. So he's the one to talk to about that. Takes 2 years to review. Yeah, right. So if you're ever interested in doing marketplace stuff, then this is kind of the way to do it. We highly encourage everyone who wants to become a seller to take a look, and don't take a rejection as like don't take it as like the end all be all of the world. What a rejection typically means is, there's a lot of stuff that needs to, there's stuff that needs to be fixed, there's stuff that could be better or nicer, clean up a little bit. I've made the mistake in the past of like really messy blueprints myself. Katatis yells at me all the time about my blueprints, and I'm OCD, and that's saying something. Uh, but just go through, find out what they said, and be like, okay, this needs to be fixed, this needs to be fixed, this needs to be fixed, and then it should be ready. Then you fix it, you resubmit. Generally, if you do the fixes, you get your content on the marketplace. That simple. Always baffles me when people get angry about it, and I'm like, what? Just make the fix. Just, you make the fix, and you potentially get on the marketplace. There. But then again, I'm, sometimes a very simple individual, and that's how I think. Um, Anyways, that's what we've done today. We have gone through level streaming process, which pretty fun. Definitely. Oh, the thing, right? So, which button was it? Is it this one? No, this one. Yes. So, it's still doing that weird thing. So there's this thing here that's actually supposed to be about the size of the player character, but it does this weird thing where it doesn't like to sit properly. Anyways, what you could do, take this, go, huh, that seems a bit large for what I'm looking for. Maybe I should scale it down a little bit. Literally, if you want to be really easy about it, just be like, let's see. No, that's a little bit smaller than a human. So just get a capsule and be like, okay, yeah, this is about the size I'm looking for. But that's it. There you go. So we have done level streaming. It is very useful. I highly recommend it. Can you scale the player? No, you can actually scale the character up. This is the standard character size that Epic uses, and like so, if you're submitting content or anything like that, we do expect it to be, unless you have specific models and stuff like that. If it's a humanoid rigged character, typically we do expect it to be on the rigged model, unless you provide your own model. Um, Two 1 meter cubes. That is another way, but you can. I mean, your game is your game. If you decide you want your characters, all like every character in the game to be freaking like this, technically you can do that. I don't highly recommend it. It makes it it means you have to scale everything to that size. But if that's the size you want, that's the size you want. You're more than welcome to do whatever you want with your game. It is. Hey Crier, how you doing? You are coming in right at the end of the stream, man. Uh, can you select the uh Well, so Unreal units are actually to scale with centimeters. So if you start out working in Unreal units, you should be fine. If you want to scale all of the assets, you can, but you can't do it just by selecting a level. You actually have to select the assets and then scale them. Um, it kind of isn't a one size fits all type approach, but I mean, you could technically create a blueprint that grabs all actors within the world and then set the scale to whatever you want. Um, Yeah, technically you could do that, but you'd have to make sure everything is an actor. Um, it's weird. Definitely something that's fun to play with. You have to keep in mind half heights, because like with characters all, unless you tell them to scale from the base, they all scale from the center. So when you shrink, it's going to go whoop and pop you up into the air instead of shrinking down to the ground. So you have to actually tell it, no, crouch maintains base location. I want you to stay here, so that when you shrink, it stays on the ground. Um, what have we done today, Crier? Well, we did a bunch of level streaming. We we made a couple of kind of crappy, ugly little bends and turns into a couple sub levels just to show off how level streaming works and what the general effect is. Um, Not gonna run through it again because it does take forever, but yeah, it's a pretty fun thing. If you need help with level streaming, please feel free to watch. But I think you should be, if I remember correctly, you were doing some level streaming stuff, so I think you should be all right. It's all basics. It's all the basics of level streaming, not anything like how do I do dynamic levels in a procedurally generated thing for an endless runner. I haven't messed with that. It's actually on my to do list of things to do. Um, Yeah, actually, Bloody Bobby, instead of using a jump, try go like you should be able to go in, and if you could find the node crouch maintains base location, I believe it is. Let me look it up. Um, I think this will work. Set crouch maintains base location. Yeah. So this, whenever the capsule shrinks, which you would be doing with your scale, it actually shrinks down to the ground instead of up into the chest. So what you're looking for is specifically this node to prevent the effect, unless you want the effect, and then do what you've been doing. Um, uh, so my logic is actually really easy. It's in the first level blueprint, it's literally just a boom, load the landscape level because that's the first thing you're going to see. So you're just like, oh, pff, yeah, it's there. Um, then you hit a trigger. The trigger is within the landscape layer, and it checks to see if wrong one. Let's see, where is landscape layer. So it checks to see if the next layer of the dungeon is actually loaded, and if it's not loaded, load it. If it is, unload it, and it's really, 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 really thin, so that it's almost impossible to be to like loop it, so that each level would keep their own logic. It would all be independent of each other. Uh, but technically, yes. The way I'm doing it is literally I'm not setting any hard values. I'm telling it to get the streaming levels and check. Um, that way, you can dynamically update it as opposed to saying, oh, this is a hard value. Oops, I dropped my level and now it reset, and so it reset my hard values. Um, I don't like doing that, so I use the streaming level approach. That way, it constantly is going, oh, yeah, yeah, okay, it's a no, it's not, no, yes, yes, it is, yeah, yeah, it is. Which I assume is how levels actually talk when you ask them questions. Um, but I digress. It is all it is all dynamic values. That way, you can constantly be updating whether or not it's actually available. Yeah. So, are there any other questions? I'm gonna give it a second real quick. I apologize for rambling a little bit there and for the extended jumping up the stairs. I didn't realize they were quite that large until I got on them, and then I was like, oh, oh, that's not gonna be fun. What's the question, buddy? Let me know what you got going on here. Uh, yeah, yeah. It's interesting. This is actually The last part, the two overlap. Oh, okay. So this one, I think. Oh, okay. So what I meant was when you hit one of these triggers right here, when you have them too large, what ends up happening is, let's say your player, like, okay, imagine Skyrim, and you're going into a Dwemer cave, but then you turn because you hear something and you go, oh, something's going on, and you turn around. Well, the way this overlap works is once you overlap the box, it goes, oh, okay, I've been overlapped. I'm going to load the next part. But now you've turned around, you remove the overlap, but we don't have it set on release. We have it set on is overlapped. So when you remove it, the other level is still loaded because the box is too large for you to, like, literally. I'm talking if you have it set, you know, I'm gonna I'm gonna over dramatize it for my purposes. Um, let me I'll use this one for an example. So let's say you have it, like that. You come in here, right? You're or here. You are an example now. So let's say you're walking in here, and you walk in, and it goes, "Oh, okay. I'm supposed to load that level now." Great, cool. But then you go, "Wait, there was treasure back that way. Oh, I'm gonna go get it." Right? Well, now you've left this overlap, but you never actually went through. So now it still thinks, hey, this is supposed to be loaded, and that's supposed to be unloaded. So when you come back again, so you go, oh, okay, there wasn't anything over there. Let's just move on, right? You hit this again, and it goes, oh, well, I just checked. The landscape is not loaded, and this one is loaded. It must be the other way around. It's supposed to be the landscape is loaded, that one's not. And then you have this situation where you walk through and it goes, oh shit, there's nothing there because I just walked through a second time. That's what the super skinny thing is supposed to do. Is, let me hit Y and go, yeah, really, really stupidly thin. Because then getting this character to somehow hit this line and not pass through it is going to be really difficult. You would have to have literally centimeter precision walking through, less than centimeter precision walking through, to be able to hit hit this and stay on it. So that's why I do that. And it still works. It's still big enough to where the players overlap will register and not cause any problems, if that makes sense. Um, or you could be smart about it and make scripts. But this was literally just baseline. This is how you load in a level. This is how you unload a level. This is how you do it. And yes, exactly, Bobby. The overlap is actually called within the individual sub-level blueprints. So like that trigger is right here. And it goes, okay, which, like, is this loaded? If it's loaded, then I want to unload it, and I want to load Dungeon 2. If it's unloaded, I want to unload Dungeon 2 and load Landscape Layer. I also make it a point to always unload first, just so that it's kind of freeing up space, and then yeah, I mean, you're using the same amount. It's just habit of mine. I unload first and then load instead of load then unload. Mostly because I've had shit blow up on me because I put too much loaded at once and didn't unload anything, and then it died. So it's habit. Yeah. Boom. So that is kind of the purpose behind that. That is how I do these types of things. Um, just so you guys know, I am actually, some of you already know this, I am actually working on a pack for the marketplace myself, because I am not a a full-time Epic employee. I work as a contract situation. I am allowed to do that.